Hey guys, thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to make General Tso's chicken, but we're going to make it a little bit more healthy. Normally it's about deep fry and high sugar content, so we're going to eliminate those two things and see how it pans out. So let's get into it. Okay, so let's just dive straight into this one. You're going to need some black vinegar, premium soy sauce, some Ketjap Manis, sesame seeds, ginger and garlic, oyster sauce, some corn flour, dried chilies, our chicken thigh, an orange that we're going to use the zest, and then we're going to use the juice to replace the sugar content, some chicken stock, and then some spring onions just to finish it off. The first thing I want to do is make some holes in the chicken. So you can use a fork or just use the heel of your knife to run through the chicken thigh. Pretty much all that's doing is allowing the marinade to really penetrate the meat. So we can just run through it that way, and then afterwards we can dice it up. So you can use a fork for this, or a jacquard if you have one, and then we're just gonna dice it up. Thin strips is fine, and that will allow it to cook really quickly. So once we've got our chicken all cut up, we just want to go in with a little bit of black vinegar. That acid is going to break down the chicken slightly. So just a touch of black vinegar and a little bit of dark soy sauce. And we're just going to leave that sit and marinate for about 15 minutes before we can get everything else together. So for the rest of it, we're going to need some ginger and garlic, oyster sauce. The corn flour is going to go in there, the dried chilies, the orange, and the stock, and some soy sauce. So we can just make that up in a bowl so we're ready to go. So the ginger and garlic can go in there. It's about a teaspoon of ginger, a heaped one of garlic, some oyster sauce. It's a decent tablespoon of oyster sauce there. Some soy sauce. And then I'm going to peel the orange so we have the zest to go in, and then we're going to put the orange juice directly into the mix. So with the vinegar, normally you're going to counter that with the sugar. So we're just going to use this natural sugar. So that's why we're putting such a small amount of vinegar in, whereas normally it would be a higher level. So we can just squeeze that in, and then that will be ready to go in with the stock. So you can juice it if you like, but otherwise just give it a really good squeeze and it will be good. So my chicken's now been marinating for about 15-20 minutes, so I'm just going to fire up a pan and I'm going to put the corn flour in there, and that's basically going to make a sauce at the end of it, so that will thicken the stock when it goes in. So normally you would add more flour, more corn flour, an egg, and then deep fry so you get a nice crispy batter, and then it goes into the sauce, and that sauce then sticks on to that crispy batter. So just to skip that step, we're going to and make it a bit more healthy, we're just going to get a really hot pan and seal this chicken off. You can do it in some vegetable oil, peanut oil, whatever oil you want. As usual, it's going to be a high smoke point oil, because if you lose a low smoke point oil like olive oil, or even if you're going to use butter or that kind of fat, then it's going to burn before it gets hot enough. So as I pick up the olive oil, so I've got some canola oil here, so I'm just going to pour that in. And you want that to get really hot, so You can use a decent amount of it, and if you need to, then you can just drain it off. So as a norm for me, I always get rid of any excess fat because I want to keep it as clean as possible. That oil is hot enough now so that this can go in. I'm just going to do it in really small batches because normally it should be in that batter, so you want it crispy. So we've got some flour in there, so I'm just going to do it in small batches so I get a really nice fry on there. Because if you add too much, it's going to drop the temperature of the pan and you're not going to get it crispy. So fry it as hard as you can. And then we can just drain it off, and then we can go in with the second batch. These can also go into the liquor. You can just drain that fat off. Give it a shake and then use that oil again. So there's flavour in that oil. So that spitting is actually moisture from the chicken. So just wait for that to burn off. That moisture is going to stop the pan from getting hot enough. And then we can go in with the second batch. So where you see these darker pieces, that's where like the sugars are caramelizing. So those little pieces there are adding so much more flavour into the dish. So don't be worried about burning it. Just you want to see those little bits of dark flavour there, that caramelization. And then once we're almost there, we can add this chicken in. We can go in with our chicken stock. It's probably like just over 100 mils there. In with our orange zest. That's just going to give it a really light, fresh flavour. Can throw those in. And then we can go in with our soy sauce, ginger, garlic, and all the rest of it. And then we're just going to cook that down until it gives that chicken a really, really nice glaze. So, and that's pretty much it. It's a really simple dish, but we're doing it without the sugar, we're doing it without the deep fry, which actually saves you quite a big job. So deep frying it, doing it in small batches, it's going to take you much longer. So this is actually a healthier, quicker version. So it's definitely worth giving it a go and seeing what you reckon. While we're waiting for that, we can just going to grab a couple of these. So these will be garnish along with the sesame seeds. So just remove any of the outer layers that aren't looking too chirpy. And then you just want a nice little rondelle. A rondelle is basically just chopping through it so you've got nice little pieces that can just garnish the dish. So that's almost there, so we can just turn off the heat. Gonna throw in a few of the spring onions now, just to toss through, and then we can top it off with some also. So plates up. Just pour that into your bowl. all that juice dripping over. Top it off with some of your spring onion, and then we're just going to go over with some sesame seeds. Chopsticks, and you're good. It's taste test time. So those sesame seeds are going to give it a bit of crunch to replace the batter. But the flavour's there. It's obviously not going to be exactly the same, but for a healthy version of it, it's a pretty tasty dish. Give it a go, let me know what you think, and if you enjoyed this video, hit the bell, hit the sub button, and happy cooking, and I'll see you in the next one. That's a tasty little number, I'm happy with that.